Hello, I'm talking to Pam Blaxland and Pam's going to tell you where we are.
Hello. Well, we're standing on the ford at Snead, and on the right hand side is Wales and on the left hand side is Shropshire, and the river is the River Camlad, and it's the only river that flows from England into Wales.
So we're now in Snead Churchyard looking at the little parish church, and Pam's going to tell us a little bit more about this historic site.
Well, the church existed right going back to the 12th century because Augustinians came and monks came and founded a monastery here. But that moved to Cherbury, and then in the medieval age a stone church was built here that was dependent chapel of Cherbury. But this roof that you see now was put on by the Victorians in about 1870, and but the old church, the old stone church, the first one, had a much lower roof, and the tiles were all made of stone, and you can see that they were relaid back into the retaining wall. An example here of a fragment of the stone tile that would have been on the roof with its hole in it.
So here we are on the River Camlad, right by the church.
And if you turn round, you can see the church and all the greenery that exists in this area. Lots of trees, lots of wildlife. In the front you can see that is a raised mound that was built by men so that the church was up above the level of the river, and it's got a stone wall in front of it which is called a ha-ha, which keeps the animals out.
Well, now we're standing right down by the River Camlad, looking across from Wales into Shropshire, and you can see lots of lovely wood anemones on the English side of the river, and also a couple of orchids which we'll go and look at more closely perhaps in a minute. But this is a special bit of the river that Pam's going to tell you about why it's important.
Well, if you just pan, yes, look to the left, and there's a branch that's going across the river here, and that's been here for an awfully long time. And we used to use this as the finishing post in our annual fundraising duck race. We started racing plastic ducks along the River Camlad in 1995 to raise money to help restore the building and pay for the maintenance. And it was a very popular event, and all the children were very excited. They all wanted to be responsible for pushing the ducks along the river because the water was very low, so they needed a bit of encouragement with sticks. And they all then rushed to the finishing post to see which plastic duck would go underneath this branch the first and be the winner of the prize.
We're paddling along the river looking for otter sprate because this is one of the rivers, local rivers where the otters do appear. But what we've actually found so far is a lovely little sprig of crabapple blossom which has fallen right down to the river's edge and looking very beautiful. Okay.
So here on the River Camlad, at the far end of Snead Mill's field, the river was dammed up in former times. Up until 1946 the Snead Mill carried on working, and a dam was built to make a reservoir, a big lake for water to accumulate. And there was it would come up very high because there was so much water in those days that they were able to regulate the flow of water from here, from this big lake, through a special gate that they opened and closed, and the water would go down a mill race all the way to the Snead mill, so that the corn could be ground.
Now we're at the Headlands Bridge, and this is the point at which the river stops being the boundary, and we are standing in a field in Powys. But if we just crossed over the road that runs across the top of this bridge, we would be in Shropshire. So this is the point at which the river flows from England into Wales.
We've just come upon this wonderful show of early purple orchids, and really the timing couldn't have been better because they're all perfectly in flower. What a beautiful sight. And that's one of the things that I find so wonderful about coming into this woodland, is that it's full of flowers, it's full of birds, other flowers, and the river life as well. And I find all of that very, very therapeutic to walk in on a regular basis.
Thank you, Pam, that's lovely, and thank you so much for sharing this little exploration of the Shropshire Powys border with us.
My pleasure, Mary.